Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Scott.
And in studio with us we have William. And William, if somebody needed to get a hold of us, what would they need to do?
For math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357, toll free 1-866-636-6284. Email dothemath@current.org. We're online at dothemathonline.net. And on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done right there. Why don't you let everybody know where you go to school and what grade you're in?
I'm in 4th grade and I go to Stockdale Elementary.
And have you been there for a long time?
I've been there for almost 6 years.
So you've been there kindergarten, TK
Yeah.
even maybe or something like that?
Yeah.
So you've been there for a long time, right?
Yeah.
So this year obviously is a little different than other years.
Yeah.
How would you make it better if you could?
Maybe like one day half the class would go online while the other half goes to school in person.
And then you just switch it the next day?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say there's 24 kids in your class. So on Monday you would send 12 kids to class?
And on Tuesday you'd send the other 12.
The other 12. And that way you still get to be able to go to school and do something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Who knows? Maybe something like that will come up pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right. But other than that, I mean, school's going pretty well?
Yeah.
You like it? No problems?
Yeah, no problems.
All right. Math going all right?
Yeah, math's going pretty
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, we're going to check out a little bit of that, all right?
Okay.
We'll get you doing some work here in a couple minutes. But first, let's take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, young William, here we go. Do you know what the expression means, hot off the presses?
No.
All right. I'm sure all of the adults in here probably remember hot off the presses, right? Because we grew up with newspapers and things like that more than you guys have. But if they say it's hot off the presses, it means it's current news. It's happening right now. Okay?
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about Google in the news lately?
No, not really.
All right, well, let's take a look. This is a small bar graph that they had in the newspaper today. And what they're talking about is they're saying how Google is turning themselves into a monopoly, right? They're trying to monopolize search engines. So if you had to look something up online, what are you guys studying in like history or science? Do you know?
Right now we're studying California missions.
Okay, so California missions. If you had to look up a California mission or learn about California missions and you went on the computer, where would you go first?
I would go to Google.
Okay, so you would go to Google, right?
Yeah.
So that's why this is in the news. So do you think you would go to Google by choice, or is that automatically what your computer brings you to?
That's what my computer brings to me.
And that's what they're saying also, all right? So you can see right here how if you are working on a desktop or a tablet or some mobile device such as a phone, you can see what percentage Google is compared to the others. And the only other big ones are Bing and Yahoo. Now there are other ones like Firefox and things like that, Explore. Those are the ones way down here where you see other. Okay, and those look like just the base of the bar graph, okay?
Yeah.
But you can see how simply taking information, you can use it and turn it into a bar graph. all right? And that's applying mathematics to information that you receive, okay? Have you ever done bar graphs or used them and look
Yeah.
at them? So by looking at that, you can kind of make sense of what's going on with it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's one example. Now there's another example, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I might have to adjust this a little bit so we can see, about the asteroids, right? There's a couple of asteroids in the news right now, all right? And the asteroid that you were speaking of before, what's going on with that asteroid?
It's like getting kind of close to Earth.
Right, it's getting pretty close to Earth, right? Do you know how long they've been tracking this asteroid?
No.
Since 2018. They actually named it 2018 VCP-1 or something like that, all right? And why do you think they need to track an asteroid?
So like when it wants to like hit Earth, they know when.
Right, they would be able to keep track of it, right? Because if an asteroid hits Earth, it could do a lot of damage,
Yeah.
right? Do you remember hearing anything about where they said, all right, it might hit Earth, but they're thinking it won't? Have you heard anything about that?
No.
Okay. Well, they were saying that it probably won't, even though it's on a pathway to do that, because it will probably disintegrate in the atmosphere before it actually hits Earth.
Oh.
Okay. But there's another asteroid that they have sent on a mission, right? They sent a couple of years ago, and it's landing on this asteroid, all right? And you can see that the spacecraft right here, right? Now, can you see those numbers and the notations on them?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what those little notations mean? Like after the, where it says width 8 and it has that little notation?
Like inches or feet?
Right, inches or feet, right? So if it's just 1, it means feet. If there's 2, it means inches, right? So very good that you were able to see what those were. So they can illustrate the size of these things on a scaled down version, right? Make it smaller so that you can see kind of what the size would be, right? And have you heard anything about this asteroid?
A little.
What have you heard? I mean,
Like it might get too close and hit us.
okay, that one, well, that one's a little bit farther away. And that one, what they're doing is you can see they're going to be landing on that asteroid, and they're going to be taking samples. So you can see right here, they're going to be collecting samples. It's kind of like a little vacuum and a shovel at the same time. And you can see that they're going to pick up almost 4.5 pounds of loose material, because they want to find out more about asteroids. So if they can actually bring back part of an asteroid, they can learn a lot more about it.
Yeah.
Now this asteroid is a long way away, and you can see the size of it. It's the size of the Empire State Building.
Wow, it's big.
It is. So we can see that it's over 1,600 feet tall.
Wow.
All right. And this thing is a long way away. Do you have any idea when that spacecraft might come back with the sample in it?
Maybe in 2022.
Ooh, you're very close. 2023 is when the thing's going to come back. All right. So that's our second example. And we can see that there's a photo of the asteroid right there. That's where they're going to collect the samples. But there was one article that struck my fancy, and that's why I was like, oh, let's see what else is in the news. So, William, if you would be so kind as to read the headline on that article.
A buyout offer means doing the math.
Now, why do you think that caught my eye?
Because the show's called Do the Math.
Yeah, the show's called Do the Math, right? So a buyout offer means doing the math. Do you have any idea what a buyout offer is or what it means?
Like maybe to buy something?
Right, exactly, to buy something, right? What you're doing is you're buying time from an employee, okay? So people that are getting close to retirement age, sometimes they might be given a package, let's say, and they go, you know what? If you stay here for another 3 years, you're going to make a lot of money because you've been here for a long time. But
Okay.
if you don't stay here for 3 years and you retire now, we'll give you a big package to make it worth your while. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A little bit, okay. But there's that article, and then there's other things where, so the adults might be looking at those, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at, is it a good offer, right? So you want to see, first of all, is the offer good, right?
Yeah.
Then, should I take it? So you need to see, all right, if I take it, what's going to happen as far as my finances? Am I still going to be looking at the way I'm living now and the way I projected I was going to be living? And then just revamping your plan, right? So you've got to take a look at Social Security and things like that. Have you started working yet?
Yeah. No, I mean.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was only pulling your leg right there really quick, but you're going to start working soon, right?
And it's never too early to prepare for retirement.
And you will be working soon. But anyway, all of that is today's Math in the News, and a little bit about bar graphs and using measurements, and then obviously doing the math is something right there. So 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30, most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. William is a 4th grade student at Stockdale, and you've been a star for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to have you do some multiplication in a little bit, but first, do you play any sports?
I play soccer.
You play soccer. Now, you may play that competitively. Have you ever participated in other sports?
Yeah, taekwondo.
Okay. So you got some moves, huh? Ooh, I'll check you out, man. All right, not right now, man. We don't want to do that on live TV. All right. Have you ever tried golf?
No, not really.
Well, you know what? That might be something to look forward to in the future. And right now, we're going to go visit with Marylou and some of the golfers from CSUB.
Today we are at Riverlakes Golf Course, and I am with 2 of the women from the CSUB women's golf team, Brandy Bourgeon and Kaylee Ire. Hi, ladies.
Hi.
How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you tell our viewers a little bit about yourselves and how you got interested in golf?
Yeah. So my name's Brandy Bourgeon. I've been playing golf for about 9 years now. I got into it when I was around 12, 13. I grew up with the sport because my dad, he plays, so he wanted me to get out there and play with him, and so I was able to play and grow up playing with him, and then I got into the junior golf here in town, the Kern County Junior Golf Association, and then I played for Centennial, and then I went to 2 years at BC, and then the next 2 years at Cal State Bakersfield.
And my name's Kaylee Ire. I got into golf right around the same time. I was 11. And I actually got put in a junior golf academy here at Riverlakes Golf Course, and was with a bunch of other kids. And I really loved the atmosphere that was here. And then I went to Frontier, golfed with Brandy. We were competitors. And then I went to Taft College for 2 years and competed against her again. And then now we're finally on the same team at Cal State Bakersfield.
Yeah, that is so exciting. So how long have you been on the team together?
A year and a half?
No, I
2
think
years
it's
now?
I think it's gonna be 2 years, and now that I came back for another year. Technically, this is my 3rd year, so I think it's gonna be like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So.
And you were saying earlier that the season, you guys have 2 seasons. You have a fall and a spring season, correct? Now your spring season is the one that got cut short, is that correct?
Yes, it got cut short, and then our fall season got cut out completely. So now we're hoping our spring season is still gonna be in session come February.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about golf. Now, you ladies have obviously your golf bag in front of you, right? Yes. Now, what is it with the golf bag and the golf clubs? Can you just throw in anything you want and carry it with you? Or is there specifics to what golf clubs you have in that bag?
So legally, you have to have 14 bags in your golf clubs.
14 clubs in your golf bag.
What did I say?
Bags in your golf club.
14 clubs in your golf bag. And you have to do that and check your bag before you do the tournament, because if you get caught with more, you get disqualified.
Get checked then? Is it like a uniform check? I know like in other sports you have to have like a cleat check and things like that.
No, there's nothing you have to get checked for. If there are speculations that you do have more golf clubs in your golf bag, you will have to get checked. And if you do have 15, you're disqualified completely. You can have less than 14 as well. You can have 12, 13 if you would like. As far as uniform, unless it's a strict golf course, your skirt will have to be a decent length. And some courses do require a collar and golf shoes.
Now, with the golf clubs, again, you have 14 in there max that you can have. Is there any specific ones that you always have to have, or can you have repeat of golf clubs? Like repeat numbers. I know they're numbered.
So you can actually have repeats of golf clubs as long as it doesn't go over 14.
Yes.
So let's say you have you're having trouble with a driver. You can have 2 drivers in there and switch back and forth if you would like throughout the day. What you're not allowed to do, however, is manipulate the golf club. So you can have a tool that will change the weight or change
the face. How open the face is. You can close the face if you want to have more of a draw angle. You can open the face to have more of a fade. But you are not allowed to do that once you tee off hole 1.
So they have to say, I didn't even know that you had the capabilities of adjusting.
It's mainly
your
for
driver.
Okay, so there's a couple different that you have. You have the drivers, you have the wedges, and you have things to putt with, correct? Yes, go ahead. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, so we have our driver. This is what we usually hit off first, unless we're on a par 3. This is a 3-wood. This is right below the drivers.
Yeah, you said wood. Okay, but it's not wood, it's metal.
Yes. I don't actually know where that name came from.
So actually they used to be wood. They were made of persimmon woods. There was actually a screw in the middle, and whenever you hit one really good, it was called you hit it in the screws. And so people will still use that lingo, but obviously they were really hard to hit. And so technology obviously advanced, and now they're not woods, but they did keep the name.
Actually, as old as I am, I actually still have one that's wood.
They are cool to look at. And so it kind of goes down in order. So these are called fairway woods, and they're based off degrees. So this is a 19 degree. The lower the degree, the farther it goes. So this is right below the 3-wood.
So if you're saying 19 degree, how many yards are we talking?
So I can hit this about anywhere from 200 to 210.
And I'm a little less than that because I am not as strong or as tall as her.
For a wood, how far does that hit? Does that hit over 200?
I can hit this anywhere from 220 to 230. And the driver obviously goes the farthest, anywhere from 250 to 260. And then it just goes down. I have another little wood. Some people like 4 irons. The lower the iron, the harder it is for me to hit. So this is a 23 degree. So it goes about 190.
Okay, so when you're talking degrees, okay, so when you hit the drive, it kind of goes straight out that way, right?
Yeah.
The angle. Are we talking maybe a little bit higher, or are we talking more of an angle of where you're hitting it, like the slope of it?
Okay, so the angle on the club face is going to manipulate how high or how low the golf ball goes. So there are different degrees for drivers. You can go from 9 degree to 12 degree. 12 will go higher than the 9 degree, but some people's swings are so different, you need those different ones because for me, I don't hit the ball very high. So I can have that 12 degree and be okay. But some people might hit the ball really high and they need the 9 degree to still get the trajectory that they want with the distance.
Okay, so we're going to continue with this, and ladies, you're going to be showing us some examples, right? Yes. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to be doing some examples with the clubs, but for now, we're going to send it back to you, Mike, at the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Marylou, and also thank you to the ladies to give us a brief introduction into golf and the clubs and kind of how they use the different degrees and what those exactly mean. And we'll check in with the ladies in a little bit. Right now, though, William, I think it's about time you get to work, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, over to the board, young man. William, I will let you select any 2-digit number, and you can go ahead and write it on the board. All right, so is that 46?
Yeah.
All right. There you go. All right, I will select the next number. Let's see, you're 9. And what month were you born in?
September 9.
September 9th? All right, let's just make it 89. So put 89 underneath it. So I'd like you to multiply those two numbers and explain to Scott how you're doing it.
Okay. So since 9 times 6 is 54, I put the 4 down here and I put the 5 up here. Then I multiply 9 times 4, which is 36, but then I have the 5, so I have to add the 5, which would be 41. Then I have to put a 0 over here. And then
Tell me a little bit about that 0. Why'd you put a 0 there?
it's because we have the tens place.
Ah, you're multiplying times 10th place. Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
So then 8 times 6 is 48. We put the 8 here, and we put the 4 up here.
Okay.
Then 8 times 4 is 32, plus 4 is 36. And then we have to add these. 4 plus 0 is 4. 1 plus 8 is 9. 4 plus 6 is 10, so I put the 0 here, the 1 up here, and then 1 plus 3 is 4. 4,094.
Nice job. I like how you explained that too. So you got a little multiplication on the top and addition at the very end of it.
Yeah.
Good work.
Now, do you know how to multiply in a different way? Like, are you able to do multiplication in any other way other than that method?
I can do a box method, partial products.
Good. Well, let's, over on the side, let's put 46 times 89 again.
$46, 89.
Right. So what I'd like you to do is show us a different way to multiply now.
I could do the box method. So we have to put 40 here for the 46, and the 6 here.
Oh, you've
Then-
broken them down into place value. Okay.
Yeah, and then the 80, and then the 9.
Okay.
And then I multiply 80 times 40, which is 3,200.
Do you want to divide that box up at all? Just to kind of keep it straight? Make it look like a window or something like that?
We do that at the end.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
Now.
I gotcha.
Yeah, like this.
Oh, all right. Give yourself some room, yeah.
Yeah. And then we just imagine the other side. So 80 times 6 would be 480.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 times 40 is 360. And then 6 times 9 is 54.
Nice job. What do
And
you do with
then-
all that stuff?
And then we add all these together. 360, 480,
Okay.
54.
Gotcha. Not a lot of room over there.
I'm going to move this down a little for you, William, so that you have some more room there. So hold on one second.
Thank you.
There you go.
So 0 plus 4 is 4. The 6 plus 8 is 14.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 5 would be 19.
Good job.
We put the 9 here, the 1 here. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. And then 6 plus 4 is 10.
Mm-hmm.
0 down here, 1 up here, and then the 1 plus 3 is 4.
Nice job.
4,094.
So real similar to what you did before. You had some multiplication in the beginning and some addition at the end. Nice job. Nice part about this is if you're a visual learner, you can actually see a picture of kind of what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that method. That's neat.
All right. So do you have any other ways to multiply, or is those your two?
We have partial products.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
We have 46, 89. So with partial products, we start with we put 80 times 40, which is 3,200. Then we do 80 times 6, 480.
Okay.
And then we do 9 times 40, which is 360.
Uh-huh.
And then the 9 times 6, 54.
So this is real similar in the end anyway to the box
Yeah.
part. You just don't have a box.
Yeah.
Okay. What the heck? Same answer?
Yeah.
Nicely
neat how that
done.
works
Now,
out.
out of the three methods that you've just shown us, do you have a favorite one?
The regrouping one.
So you like the way you did it first,
Yeah.
all right? Do you see any advantages to either of the other ones?
Maybe the box method would be kind of easy because you multiply those and then those and then those and then those. And you can just add them all.
Good. And I can see quite clearly that you're pretty good at mental math.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, I
Well,
am.
you know what?
Yep.
That's excellent. So
I like
erase
it.
the board, young man. I'm quite confident that you can multiply without a problem. Get rid of that 46 and 89 on the side. We are done with that.
Bye-bye.
So
Bye-bye.
if I know that you're good at multiplication, what do you think I'm going to want you to do now?
Division.
Ah, yes, because I'm quite sure you can add without a problem.
Yeah.
You can subtract without a problem. You can multiply, I can see that. So now we're going to go to the last thing, division. Are you comfortable with division?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
All right, hotshot, let's see what we got. I've got your book here, so we're just going to actually take one out of your book. All right? 215
215
divided by 9.
divide 9.
I like it. You want to put a little bar over top of that 215 so you know that it goes on the top there? There you go. Good.
Okay.
Now, William, before you start, can you tell me, because I have a lot of students that have a hard time with this sometimes, when you were told 215 divided by 9, how do you remember which number goes inside the box and which number goes outside? How do you remember that?
I just remember the number that we see like last goes outside, and then
Okay.
this one.
So it's kind of an
The
opposite
bigger
type of deal.
one.
The number you see
Yeah.
last goes first. The number you
Yeah.
see first goes last. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
And
what are you going to
this
do with this?
may not work out to be a perfect number at
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
So what I'd like you to do is just round it to the nearest whole number when you get through with it,
Okay.
if you need to.
Okay. So you cannot do 9. You cannot divide these. You cannot divide 2 out of 9.
Okay, so tell me what you're doing with your hand there, because I really like this method that you're using. Why do you have your hand up there while you're looking at 9 into 2?
So I can cover the number that I don't need right now.
You're going like place value by place value. So
Yeah.
you're looking, does 9 divide into 2? And you said no.
No.
So what are you going to do next? Move that hand over?
So 9 divided 21.
Okay.
I can 18 because
Okay.
9 plus 9, and then I can't do another one.
Yeah.
So I put and then there's still 3 left. So
Right.
I put the 3 down here.
Gotcha. Is there any way you can show that, or do you have to kind of keep that all in your head? Because how many times did 9 go into 21?
2.
2. Do you have to write that down somewhere?
Up
Right above
here.
there? Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good place to do it because
And
it's not
then-
it's not above the 2, it's above the 1 because it's above the 21. Okay.
And then we put the 5 up here. So
Tell me about that a little bit. Tell me about that 5. Why did it go on the top?
it's so
You're thinking. I got you
Yeah,
thinking now.
that's-
That's a good thing. All right, so here's the deal. I love how you put the 2 on the top. You're doing just fine, no problem. Why don't you go ahead and erase that 5 on the top there, okay? The one that you just put up on the top. And we're definitely going to use it. You can erase it. Just use the back side of your pen. Just erase that little number there. There you go. It's gone. But we are going to use it, okay? So the next step that I really like to do, this 2 right here, right? The 2 that you have there on top,
yeah.
we're going to multiply 2 times 9 because you've already done that in your head, right? What's
Yeah.
2 times 9?
18.
Okay, and that number that you have there, we're going to put right underneath this 21, right? And you told me the answer was
3.
3, right? So when you subtract it, the 3 is actually going to go here. And so what you've done is not a problem at all. Can you erase your little black 3 right here? And now, maybe this part will get you an idea about what's happening next. What is happening next? Where does that 5 go now? Because we are going to use the 5.
This is gonna be 15. So the 5 goes here because there's no room for the 1.
Almost. Go ahead and erase that 5 up there. Remember we had that 5 before, and we want to use it, but we're not going to use it up top first because the top part is only going to tell us how many times 9 goes into something, okay?
Yeah.
So we want to use this 5 right here, but we're going to bring it down next to the 3. Okay? So if you can erase your 15 as well. But you're thinking it. I think that's a really good deal. So just like at the very beginning of the problem, you know where you tried to figure out, how many times does 9 go into 21? You said 2 times.
Yeah.
Now let's do that again. How many times does 9 go into 35?
To 35, it would go 3 times.
3 times. Not 4 times?
No, not
So close. What is
Yeah.
4 times 9?
36.
Dang, we almost made it, but not
Yeah.
quite. So you're right, you're going to have to go 3. So put that 3 up at the top next to the 2. There you go. And follow that same pattern that we did before, right? What's 3 times 9?
27.
Good deal. And put that right underneath the 35. And subtract. And you'll see how much we have left over.
15, 8, and this would be a 2.
Oh, you did some borrowing there. Gotcha. So we have a little bit of a remainder, right?
Yeah.
Actually, we have a lot of a remainder. Now, if in the experience that you've had doing division, when you have a remainder like this, what do you do with it?
Well, he may not know yet because this is his first time with division, so we're
That's
gonna.
right.
Yeah.
So we
Well-
have that 8 just kind of hanging out, right? We're not really done with the problem. So sometimes you'll see this at the end of a problem. Sometimes you'll see a big R, stands for remainder, and you can just put the 8 next to it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see something like this. Some people like to make a fraction out of it, and they'll take this 9 way over here, the 9 that you started with, put it on the bottom of the fraction, and the remainder goes on top. And there are even other things to do with it. Just like he showed us multiple ways to multiply at the beginning, there are multiple ways to end up a division problem. Okay, so the directions that we had at the beginning of this problem were to round this to the nearest whole number. So tell me what whole number you have right now. What is the whole number that we're going to use to try to round?
215.
What's the answer to the problem?
23.
That's it. That's the number we're going to round, right? Now remember, we were so close. We were so close
Yeah.
to going one number higher, right? In fact, if you look at this fraction right here, is this fraction 8 over 9, is it closer to 1 or is it closer to 0?
It's closer to 1.
Closer to 1. So that means we're going to round this 23 up 1. So what's it going to round to?
24.
24. That's it. So that's how, just a little bit of rounding, and there's a whole lot more that goes with it. I promise you that's not a Z, it really is a 2. But we rounded it to the nearest whole number. That's what we want to do. And like I said, there's a lot more to do with division. And I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, that you're going to get 1 or 2 more of these before we're done.
Oh, you're going to get some other ones. So that's a promise right there, because I just wanted to get you started on that, okay?
Yeah, good job.
But for some great work so far, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at Grillin' Burger. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
We do have phone tutors available until 5:30, and as promised, we do have another opportunity to go visit the girls out at Riverlakes and visit with Marylou and see how they're doing.
We are back at Riverlakes Golf Course, and I am with Kaylee and Brandy, 2 players from the CSUB Women's Golf Course, and we were talking clubs earlier. Now, ladies, you're going to kind of give us a demonstration on the woods and the drivers, correct?
Yes.
So how do you know? You're starting off. How do you know what club to grab, what driver, what wedge, or I'm sorry, wood to grab when you're going up to a hole?
So most par 4s or par 5s, we always start, that is not my driver, with the driver. So we hit this off the tee. This gives us the most distance out of our bag.
So when you're talking par 4, par 5, that is obviously a very long distance.
So the holes that we play are usually anywhere from 350 to 400 yards. So if we hit this and hit it 250 yards, we'll have about 100 yards in, and then so that's when we use our wedges or our irons. But if we play on a par 5, that's when the woods come into play, because once we hit our driver on a par 5, we will still have a good 250 to the hole, 250 plus, and so we need another wood to get us to the green because we cannot tee up the driver again.
So when you're standing up to tee off, okay, what are things that are going through your mind on it? Kind of walk us through that.
So whenever I'm standing up on the first tee, I visualize the golf hole. Let's say if it's a dog leg left, which means it starts out going straight and then the hole ends up on your left. I personally play a draw, which is right to left. So what I do is I set up right of my target and I let my draw take the shape of the hole.
So when you're saying draw, what do you mean by that? You mean to curve
Yes,
when you're hitting
yes.
it to get that curve?
Yes,
so you
so it
want it
will
to
curve.
go left?
Yes. So my natural shot shape, and I believe Brandy's is as well, it starts off right and it'll have that little left spin
And
to
then
go left.
you can also hit a fade, which makes it go from left to right if you have a hole that goes to the right.
So how do you adjust your body to do that?
So, would you like me? Okay. So for a driver, usually when you tee up a driver and you have a straight shot, the ball is always in the front of the stance. On the left side, it's straight. And like Kaylee was explaining, our natural balls go this way and they curve in. So if you were to just close the club face or give yourself a stronger grip, it closes it a little bit.
So what you're saying, hold on, when you're saying close the club face, are you talking about the way you have the club open?
Yes. So however far, if you want to hit it right, you open your stance. So you open your stance a little bit, and you come in at an angle of trying to hit the left side of the ball.
So you had that club open more.
Yes, for it to go right.
So you really got angles in there that you have to think about.
And you really have to commit to your shot as well, and trust it. And for it to go straight, you just keep this club face square as you can. So when we talked about the tool, A2 is neutral. So this is a straight club face. If I was to turn it to a B3 or a D1, that actually opens it by itself or closes it, so I myself don't have to move my body as much.
Now, you're talking about you can't adjust that once you get started.
No,
Okay.
once you get started, you have to keep it at the angle that it was set at.
Can you go ahead and show us? So which way are you going for a straight? What's your thought?
I'm going to go for the group of red bodies back there and hope that it goes that way. So I just set up. So it was a little bit right, which means it was probably more on my toe where I hit it.
So it was opening up more to go to the right.
My body was probably opened up to it. And that's how we are able as golfers to tell where we make mistakes or where we can fix on that. So my body and my line may have not been as straight as it should have been.
So when you're out there playing in a game, okay, you don't really have a caddy to like talk back and forth with. Now, how do you handle that on your own to know that, hey, I made that mistake? You have to think it through yourself to make those adjustments yourself.
It's a big mental sport. Luckily, we have our coach out there, so she's always going around and she knows our swing better than anyone. So she's able to help us, but for the most part, we practice so much that we kind of just know what to do, what to fix, and if we have problems, like we know those are our problems, and we've worked with our coach on them. So when we're out there, we just go back to the basics, and we usually think of like 2 to 3 things that kept our balls straight and stuff. And so by the time our coach will find us.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to be doing more of this, but now we're going to go into the wedges and the putting, correct? All right, for right now, we're going to sit back to you, Mike, at the studio.
All right, thanks for that, Marylou. And I know that all of us were keeping a keen eye on that to see how we could better hit. And every little tip will help right there. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. We have William, a 4th grade student from Stockdale Elementary, working on division for the first time. So here we go, young man. I've got another problem. We'll take a look at it on the board together. Allie wants to arrange her flower garden in 8 equal rows. She buys 60 plants. What is the greatest number of plants that can be put in every row? So how do you think you want to tackle this problem?
So I think I would like to maybe add 8 until like I reach 60 maybe.
But you've got 8 rows, right? And you want to put a certain number of plants in every row. So if I put 2 plants in every row, how many would I have used?
16.
But I have 60 of these things, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to have to do a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So you and Scott can work through this together.
Okay, so what do you think? Any ideas about where we're going? Think about what operation we're using today, the part that you're practicing. What are you practicing? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
Multiplication.
Yeah, that's what we were doing at the beginning. But then the last problem we did was what?
Division.
Division. And we want to continue to practice division because that's the part that you're going to learn a little bit about today. So at least you have a little bit of a heads up. You have a little bit of a hint. This problem is probably going to be a division problem.
Yeah.
This problem is also one of those ones you probably could draw a picture if you wanted to, right? So there's a number way to do it and a picture way to do it because the numbers aren't too big. But we are going to be doing a division problem. What are the 2 numbers that we're going to divide?
60 and 8.
Gotcha. So if you had to set up a division problem, how would you set it up? Just kind of like we did last time. I think that's a pretty darn good way to set it up. We have 60 plants, and we want to divide them into 8 rows. That's kind of where that comes from, right? There's the English part. You've changed it into math. Let's see what we can do with this, okay? All right, what are you going to do with this? So you already told us what 8 times 2 is, right? But we've got to go higher than that. We want to get as close to 60 as possible.
I was thinking maybe we can find like the closest number in like the 50s or 60s
Mm-hmm. Good idea.
that you can divide by 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you can't go over, right?
Yeah.
Can't go over, just like that 36 last time. So we want to go as high as possible, as many as we can, but not over 60. So what's the highest number we can use to multiply times 8?
56.
Okay, 56, and that's 8 times what?
7.
Gotcha. So the 7 is what goes on the top. Go ahead and write that on the top after the 60. There you go. Now when you write that 7, okay, just like you were doing in that last problem, what I really like you to do is put that hand up there, right? Does 8 go into 6?
No.
No, so we don't want to put the 7 over top of the 6, right? Because it doesn't go into 6 at all. You want to put the 7 over top of what?
The 0.
The 0. Yeah, so 7's correct. We want to make sure it goes in the right place. So what's 7 times 8?
56.
56. And if you can drop that right below 60, then we'll subtract. 56. Yep, right there.
56.
Uh-huh, that's right. And all you're doing is you're taking this top number, right? The top number that you have there. This one right here. Whoop. And you're multiplying it times 8, and you're going to come over here and get 56. Now we do some subtraction. Go ahead and see how much you have left.
10.
Doing some borrowing. And that's it, right? You got
Yeah.
4 left over. Do you remember when we were done last time what we did with the remainder? In the fraction part? Do you remember the fraction part? What number goes in the bottom of this fraction?
The 7.
Almost. The other one. The other small number?
4.
The 8. The 8 that we have
Oh,
out
the
here in front,
8,
right?
yeah.
What number goes on top?
The 7.
No, that's the remainder. Oh, we got
4.
some work to do. I like it. That's good. So go ahead and put the 4 on the top of the 8. Now, we don't want fractional pieces of plants, right? Otherwise, we've got to take these plants and pull them apart. So we're still working on the fraction and we're still working on the remainder, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Can you tell us what the biggest number of plants we can have in each row? The most plants we can have in each row. What's the number we're going to use? How many plants in each row?
7.
7. That's really what we're shooting for, right?
There you go.
Okay,
Nicely
good
done.
work.
So we know we can put 7 plants in every row of those 8 rows.
Yep.
Nicely done. And you know what? We were talking about the asteroids a little bit earlier on. Do you know the name of the, it's not a company, but an agency or a, who deals with space?
NASA.
There you go. We're going to find out what they're up to right now.
Pine trees, bumblebees, and Swiss cheese, what do these all have in common? It's carbon. Carbon can be found almost everywhere. Find out just how important carbon is to life on Earth next on Real World. Carbon is not only the 4th most abundant element in the universe, it's also one of the essential building blocks of life. It's in our bodies and in our food. But what is carbon anyway?
Carbon is one of the basic building blocks of life on Earth. It's found all over the place, like in animals, plants, and it's also found in non-living material, like rocks and the atmosphere.
Carbon is important for many reasons, including providing lots of the power that we use. It's found in coal, it's found in fossil fuels, it's found really in all of our main sources of energy. We can find carbon in many different types of source pools. There's a lot of carbon in the ocean. That's actually one of our main carbon pools on our planet. You can find carbon in the atmosphere as different gases, such as carbon dioxide, and you find lots of carbon in the terrestrial areas, so in plants, in trees, or in soils.
So what else do we know about this carbon cycle?
So the carbon cycle is the cycle of where carbon goes, and also how carbon moves from one pool into a different one.
Carbon cycle is a system, this Earth process, that transfers carbon from the plant material to the atmosphere, back to the plant material, from the oceans to the atmosphere, back to the oceans, and from far below ground, from fossilized carbon pools to the atmosphere.
So fast-moving carbon, for example, is what gets stored in plants. You have photosynthesis that happens, which is essentially really a mechanism by which plants are able to absorb carbon from the atmosphere, and they essentially use the carbon to make sugar, which is the basis of all carbohydrates. And that carbon that's fixed there in these plants is fast carbon.
Slower carbon will refer to, over time, sort of the integration of perhaps atmospheric carbon into the ocean and down into the depths of the ocean. One manner in which it's transferred from the atmosphere to the oceans might be through the photosynthesis that's done by plankton in the ocean, and then the consumption of that plankton by higher level species, and then the eventual decay of some of that organic material. Those species will, to some extent, decay and be transferred to the bottom of the ocean, where the carbon that used to be part of those species gets locked away in ocean sediments.
Humans have a huge impact on the carbon cycle because essentially we are changing how it is. We're taking a lot of these pools of slow carbon and burning it and putting it into the atmosphere. So we're really changing where the carbon is, and that has some big implications. So we're not really changing how much carbon is there. The amount of carbon is always the same, but what we're changing is where it is and what form it's in. So if you put the carbon, take the slow carbon, you burn it, and you put it in the atmosphere, it gets expanded, and the atmosphere is a much smaller pool than the ocean is, for example, or our terrestrial reservoirs are.
Humans have a really important role in the carbon cycle. But how does NASA measure carbon as it moves?
We have different ways of measuring carbon. For example, we work on measuring the carbon that's stored in trees. And to do that, we use different types of instruments. We do field work, and we also use satellite data. For example, data from some new satellites like ICET-2 and JEDI.
One way we do those measurements is with satellite imagery or satellite estimates. We use LiDAR instruments that are in space that are pointed down at the Earth, that shoot LiDAR pulses towards the Earth and measure the time that it takes for those pulses to return to the satellite sensor. From those pieces of information, we can learn about the height of forests and other structural characteristics of the forest canopies.
In addition to using the satellite data, we also have to do field work. We go in the field and we measure what species it is. We get the biometry of a tree, which is a biometry is measuring of the living things. We take a tape and we put it around the tree and we measure the circumference, measure the height of a tree, and then we compare that to what we're getting from the satellite.
We would like to get a better understanding of where carbon exists on the landscape.
Carbon really is essential to all life as we know it. And we can see the carbon cycle in motion thanks to NASA's Eyes in the Sky, on the ground, and in space. See you next time on Real World.
And quite a bit to learn with the carbon cycle right there, and see you later. Have you ever seen that before?
No.
Yeah. Now you do that to your friends, say, see you later, right? All right. How are you feeling with the division? You getting a little more comfortable with it?
Yeah.
So far, the book has had you doing things where you've had to deal with some remainders.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to a different type of problem now. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
All right. Over to the board, young man. 477 divided by 9. All right, go to it.
Okay, so I cannot divide 9 on with I cannot divide 4 with 9.
Okay.
So I move my hand 49 through 47.
So what's the closest you can get?
It's too big.
Yeah, you're thinking. So 9 times 2.
5.
It is
That's
5.
45.
That's it. Well, tell me where the 5 goes. Remember
Right
from
here.
last time?
So
Yeah, right above that 7. Good for you. Okay, and then what's
Yeah.
9 times 5?
9 times 5 is 45.
Good for you. Can you put it right underneath the 47, please? Good. And subtract?
2.
That's it. Nice. You didn't have to borrow or anything. Okay,
No.
now tell me what about that last 7. Let's see if you remember from 2 problems ago. What do we do with that last 7 at the end of the problem?
We, don't we move it down here?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. So you're going to take this 7 and move it straight down next to that 2 that you had. Good for you. Now we do the whole process again, right? That's division right there. That's all you need to do is those couple steps, but you do it over and over and over again until you get to the end of the problem. So now, from the beginning, 9 divided into 27, or 27 divided by 9. What do you get?
3.
3, that's it. So where does the 3 go?
Over here?
That's right. It goes above the other 7, because that's the one you brought down, right? Can
Yeah.
you multiply 9 times 3?
9 times 3 is 27.
And put that below the other 27, because we want to finish out the process, and subtract.
0 and 0.
That's it. So we have no remainder this time. So we finally got a problem where you don't have anything left at the end.
Yeah.
And that process happened. Tell me how many times we did the actual division process.
2 times?
That's it. You did it 1 right here, right?
Yeah.
And you did it 1 more time right here. And so you did the same thing twice, but each time was a little bit different because you got a couple digits that were different each time. And there's no remainder at the end. Good
Now,
job
what
on
I'd
that
like
problem.
you to do, William, is over on the side, write 53 times 9. And I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do that problem. Go.
Go.
40,
Do you see that number anywhere else on the page?
right here.
Hey, that's it right there. So just like when you were doing the division problem and you did 5 times 9 is 45,
Yeah.
at the very end of the problem, 53 times 9 should get you back,
Yeah, 2
right?
and 4.
It kind of goes back in this little circle, almost like the carbon cycle or something like that. Look at
Yeah.
that, watch out.
So the reason I wanted you to do that is so that you can check your answer, right?
Yeah.
Now let's kind of estimate, all right? 477 is about what?
It's about 480.
Okay, it could be 480. If I wanted to go to the nearest 100, what would it be?
500.
500, okay? 9 is about what?
10.
10. So how many times do you think 10 would go into 500?
50.
50 times. And what was our answer?
53.
So 50 and 53 are pretty close together, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because if you had to round 53, what would it become?
50.
There you go. So see, this way you can kind of look at it and go, you know what? I kind of got an estimate, I know what it is. I checked it, I know what it is. I divided it. You should feel confident that you got that answer correct. All right? Nicely done. Well, you know what? We do have one more opportunity to head back out to Riverlakes and check in with the girls from CSUB and Marylou.
We're back at Riverlakes Golf Course, and again, I am with Brandy and Kaylee. Now, ladies, we teed off, right? And you've made your way over to the green. Now, what are your thoughts now? Obviously, you're not using a driver or using woods.
Yeah.
So where are you going now? Where's your mind going now?
So now what you're going to try to do is get it closest to the hole. Whatever club is going to do that. And there are a bunch of different shots that you can do to do this. So there's with a 60 degree, which is your highest lofted club. So on the golf course, this will go the shortest.
So before you pick the club, also, are you thinking about, like, right now the wind is hitting me? Are those thoughts that are going through your mind as well?
For chipping a little bit, if it's a drastic wind, this wind would more affect a driver, not so much a chip shot. But what I do is I pick a landing spot on the green, depending on the type of shot I want to hit. And what I'll do is I'll walk it off, and 1 step is 1 yard. So I'll walk it off like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say I want to land it right here. So I know I want to hit it about 5 yards. So then I'd go back to my shot, I'd look at the hole, and I'd put the ball more back in my stance because I'd want it to roll out a little more. And I just take it back to it's more of a feel shot now. There's not as much like a number that you know you're gonna hit it. It's more of I know I'm gonna hit it right there, that's where I wanna hit it. So I'm just gonna let my brain take it.
Lots of practice.
Yes, lots of practice. So just say I wanna hit it about 5 feet with this particular club.
Okay, before you hit, now notice how the angle of the club is.
Yes.
Are you opening that up anymore, or are you making sure that the bottom is touching straight down?
So for this particular shot, I'm actually making the club face lower. So I'm making this more of a closed club face to make it go lower and roll out more.
So it doesn't carry up
Yes,
higher.
if I had it right here, this would go out higher, but I would need to carry it farther. So for that 5-foot shot, I'd have it in the back of my stance. I'd look at my spot, I'd take it back and I'd hit it. And so for this particular shot, this wasn't necessarily the right club. So for club selection, I could switch and go to a pitching wedge, which is a lower lofted club, and it's gonna roll out a lot more than that one did just now.
So I noticed the angle is different on this, obviously.
This one is already, this one is gonna go about 120 yards, hit full swing.
Wow.
So this, obviously you would not take a full swing for this little shot, but you can take it back as short as you would like. So I'll do about the same swing with this club.
With the same angle, having
same
it.
angle and everything, and it's carrying about 5 feet. So that one ran out a lot more. Neither one of those were great shots, but that one actually ended up a lot closer than the other one.
So now again, so you guys, when you get up there, and we see a lot of golfers get down and they're really like eyeballing it and trying to see what's going through your mind for that
Going
part.
through your mind right about there is you're trying to look at all of the angles on the putting green. So whenever you squat down like this, you can already see that this whole green slants going this way. So your putt or chip is going to break from right to left. On this particular green, quite much. But for a shorter putt like this one all you're gonna see is it's downhill. It's at least from up here. And it's not gonna break as much as it does on the rest of the green.
So Brandy, let's bring you in here too. So ladies, for students who want to get involved in golf, what are the key things that they need to do to get involved?
That's a good question.
For me, if they're younger, like in high school, that junior golf really helped me, and you meet a lot of people
Yes.
through that. And honestly, the reason I stayed in it is because of people like Brandy and my whole team.
Yeah.
Because it was the interactions that you made.
And also, our team actually does a girls' golf camp. Well, we can't now with COVID, but we would get little girls out here ages 4 to 13, I believe, and it was free. The kids could come out here and we taught them putting, we taught them chipping, we taught them how to hit. So if you have like the support, you obviously got to get golf clubs, and sometimes they're expensive. You can get used golf clubs. There's a lot of coaches in town. There's usually programs. Riverlakes has a really good program,
that's the
but
one I was
I
in.
am not too sure if they're doing it right now with everything going on. But for anyone getting into it, I just say go for it.
All right.
Just go for it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
All right, well, that's it from Riverlakes Golf Course and the CSUB women's golf team. We're sending it back to you, Mike, at the studio.
All right, thank you, Marylou. Thank you to the girls on the golf team, and also thanks to their coach, Megan. And thank you also to CSUB Athletics for allowing us to work with some of their teams, and especially the golf team most recently. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon. We would like to especially thank William for coming in. Showed us a bunch of different ways to multiply. That was awesome. And you even learned a little bit of something today, right? What did you learn today?
I learned how to divide.
There you go. So you're starting to learn how to divide. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different ways to do that. Did you have fun today?
Yeah.
Good. That's the main thing right there. So we're glad you had fun. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Valley Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Bakersfield West Rotary Stroop Family Foundation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, Kern High School District, and AC Electric Company, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.